Station Houston on 2 for Chris, update on the PAO event. We have a ground console that's locked up. We're trying to get that corrected, so we're going to pause until we get the video situation set up.
Copy all. Good luck, and I am standing by whenever you guys are ready.
Station Houston on Space Ground 2. Chris, we need another voice check before we get going.
Copy that. I'm ready to give you a 5 count.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Chris, that's good scene and voice, and here we go. I'll call you right back.
Copy all.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
I am ready for the event. Thanks.
Columbia Space Initiative, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Moises Mata with the Columbia Space Initiative. How do you hear me?
I read you loud and clear. It's wonderful to get to talk to you today. How do you read me?
Read you loud and clear, Astronaut Williams. Very grateful for the opportunity.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to talk with you guys.
Now, will our first question asker like to come to the front to conduct the interview?
Hi, Astronaut Williams. I'm Candace. I'm a junior studying astrophysics and CS. My question for you today is, what does it feel like to see Earth from space?
Hey, Candace. Nice to meet you. I'm Chris, and thanks for the question. I would say it's a pretty breathtaking sight. We have this cupola module which has 7 windows that gives you a pretty big panoramic view, and I've been up here for a couple months now, and I still don't get over it how beautiful it is every time I look out the window, and how special of a view and how special of a place our planet is, and it really gives you a deeper appreciation for it seeing it from up here.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Hi, Astronaut Williams. I'm Nidhi, and my question is, has living in a designed environment that's completely disconnected from Earth changed how you think about cities or buildings back home?
Hey, Nidhi, that's a really, really good question and a super interesting one, because I would say that it has a little bit. Being coming background as a physicist and somebody that's very engineering focused, I've always sort of considered myself a very much a very practical form over function person, and I think the ISS, everything is very well designed, built for a purpose. But living up here and I think one of the things I've really come to appreciate is, I just sort of mentioned this cupola module, and if I think about where I spend my free time and the things that give me, the most joy, I mean, doing a good job and doing the work up here gives me a lot of joy, but being able to look out the window and it is really special to me. And when I think about it, there is a practical purpose of this cupola for robotics and that sort of thing, but it's also an aesthetic thing, and it has a it has a very iconic view to it, and it's made me reconsider that thinking about aesthetics and thinking about the things that bring sort of joy and humanity to something actually really matter a lot. And I think I'm going to think a little bit differently about sort of how things are designed in the future based on that.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Astronaut Williams. My name is Diatu. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering. And my question is there a moment on the ISS, something small or mundane, that best captures what life in space is really like?
Actually, that's a really good question as well. Yeah, there's something that pops to my mind. Recently I was up here with a few of my crewmates, and it was the weekend, and we were all standing or floating around our dining table, and I was drinking some tea from a little bag, and we were having a conversation, and I put it down on the table, which has duct tape on it, so that things will hopefully stick to it. And we were talking, and I turned back to get my tea, and it was gone. And this was like sitting on the table right next to us, and it had just floated away while we were having a conversation. We were all there, nobody noticed it, and we spent about 10 minutes looking for this bag of tea and where it could have floated to. We checked all the air intakes and everything, and we just couldn't find it. And then like 15 minutes later, it just like starts floating across like in the middle of the room, and it was just one of those things where, boy, life in microgravity is weird and funny.
That's really funny. Thank you.
Hi, Astronaut Williams. My name is Miriam, and my question for you is, what's something about the station that feels deeply human despite being one of the most engineered environments ever built?
Hey, Miriam. So one of the things I think that makes the station feel interestingly human is, when you get up here and you get into space, you're not constrained to an up or down. And after about, at least for me, it took me about a week to start getting used to like, oh, I can be in any direction I want. But the station, even though, we have, storage and devices on all surfaces, all four walls of this module you can see here are used, we still kind of design it with one plane that's a floor and one plane that's a ceiling that has the lights on it. And, even though there's no reason that we treat it that way, we all still kind of default to being sort of head up and feet down for the most part. And I think that's really interesting, that even after we get comfortable being totally three-dimensional creatures, we still kind of go back to our 1G programming, which I think is kind of interesting.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashi. So your career spans both astrophysics and medical physics. How did you approach this career transition, and how has it impacted your perspective in the work you do on the ISS? And what advice would you give students who are navigating similar transitions?
Hey, Ashley, that's a really, really great question. Yeah, and I did make a pretty big career shift a couple times in my career. I had studied physics and astrophysics all through my undergrad, always wanted to be an astronomer, but then after graduate school, made the jump from astrophysics into medical physics. And that was a pretty big career change. And I know at the time I was really, really uncertain about it and a little bit afraid of it, because especially as you sort of get deeper into your education, you become a really narrow expert in a field, or you feel like you've become a narrow expert in the field that you're studying. One of the things I realized after making the transition from astrophysics to medical physics is that actually a lot of what I'd learned, even though it didn't directly apply, some of it did, but a lot of the ways of thinking and approaching problems that you learn still carry through. And it gave me a lot of confidence that, I can approach something that maybe I haven't studied before, but I can use my background and use the ways that I've learned to think like a scientist, think like an engineer, to tackle new problems, and that will still give me something that I can work with. And that's helped me up here, because as an astronaut, you're doing a lot of different experiments. I was doing a bunch of biology experiments just last week in a glove box, and I'd never done that before, but knowing that I know how to think like a scientist, and I've learned how to think like a scientist, gave me the confidence to say, okay, well, this isn't something I've done before, but I know how to approach these problems. And so I think the advice I would have is to not be afraid that just because you've gone down one path, you think you're giving up what you've learned or worked for. The ways of thinking and the ways of problem solving that you learn will apply across many different fields. And so, have confidence that you still have something you can really bring to the table.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, Astronaut Williams. My name is Sardar. I'm a senior studying mechanical engineering. And my question is, among the experiments and technology you are testing in orbit is the E4D, the European Enhanced Exploration Exercise Device. Since astronauts have been exercising in space for decades, why is it important to test out more advanced exercise equipment for long-term space habitation?
That's a really great question, and that's a study I'm really excited to be participating in. We spend about 2.5 hours of every day exercising up here, and right now we use 3 different pieces of equipment for that. We have an exercise bike called Cevis, we have a treadmill called T2, and we also have a resistive device, or like kind of a multi-gym weightlifting device called ARED. And these are all pretty big and bulky devices, and so E4D is kind of a cool experiment because it basically combines a lot of the functions of these devices into one smaller device, which, as we think about going, beyond low Earth orbit to the moon and Mars, mass to orbit becomes a real big problem, and volume of our spacecraft becomes a challenge. And so having all these functions combined into a more compact device is something we may potentially need. And so I think it'll be really interesting to try that out and see whether you can get the same benefits from, kind of what we know works to keep us healthy, from a more compact device that can actually give us even some more exercise options that we don't currently have with the 3 ones that we have. So I think that'll be really fun to try out once we get it installed.
Thank you.
Hi, Astronaut Williams. My name is Adam. I'm also a senior in mechanical engineering, and I co-lead our rocketry team here at CSI. So my question is, what does the launch vehicle and the space station actually sound like as a person experiencing it? And both during major events and also routine life as an astronaut.
Yeah, that's an interesting. So what does it kind of sound like? I would say, I launched on a Soyuz rocket, and one of the things I would say that there are a few things that kind of struck me. It feels very much like being in one of the simulators, except that while you're sitting on the launch pad, the rocket it almost hums and vibrates a little bit. You can almost feel it, and I think because it's full of cryogenic fuel that's all boiling off and that sort of thing. Like it has a kind of a little very subtle vibration to it. But the launch, it almost felt quieter than I thought it would be. There was definitely some noise, but a lot quieter. And then up on station, one of the things you notice is the omnipresent sound of fans. The lack of convection means that we can get CO2 pockets building up in front of us, and so there's always air circulation and ventilation also to cool all of our equipment. So there's just a lot of background fan noise up here, which is something that you get used to. It actually is eerie when fans turn off because it's almost too quiet, which is really a strange feeling.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name's Mariska. I'm a sophomore in astrophysics. How would you say being an astronaut has changed you?
Hey, Mariska, thanks for the question. I would say that for me, being an astronaut, for me, it was always one of these aspirational dreams. It was something I never thought that I'd ever get the chance to do, but it's something that I'd always, ever since I was a little kid, had wanted to do. And I think one of the interesting things is that it had always, becoming an astronaut had always been one of these sort of motivational ideals for me. And then I found one day, all of a sudden, I got, was super fortunate to have reached that and had, and to have, become an astronaut. And I think one of the things that it changed in me is I sort of lost this sort of bigger goal of, hey, I have this thing that I always want to be, and it made me try to then think about, okay, what are the things that drive me and motivate me to excel, and I think it made me really focus on appreciating the situations that I'm in and the people that I'm with even more than I think I already did, because I realized that, you know, the most special thing about this job is yes, the opportunity to fly in space, but I've been so overwhelmed by the people that I get to work with, both the other astronauts, the people on the ground, and so I think it's helped me gain a little bit of perspective, which I think has been really nice, in addition to the perspective of being able to look back on Earth, which is also pretty cool.
Thank you.
This will be our last question, and then we're going to be taking a photo with Astronaut Williams. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Astronaut Williams. I'm wondering how your team building experience with Scouts when you were younger impacted your career as an astronaut.
Yeah, that's a great question. I was involved in the Scouts basically my entire time growing up, and I would say for me it was a pretty powerful experience, just because, you know, as you mentioned, there's a lot of team building, but also a lot of leadership opportunities as a kid. And I think for me, what it really helped teach me is that, you know, you can attack difficult problems. You know, as like a middle schooler or a high schooler, like organizing an event, leading a bunch of other people to get something done, like realizing that you can do that and learning how to do that, I think was really important. And I think learning how to do that both as a leader, but also as an active follower, where, you know, you're part of the team and you're exhibiting leadership, but not as the person in charge, but as somebody supporting the person who's sort of directing the team. And, you know, those are skills that are super important for us as astronauts. Sometimes you're leading a team, sometimes you're a member of a crew, and you need to support the leader. And I think Scouts was a great way to kind of learn some of those skills from an early age.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, everyone. So that will conclude the question section of the interview. Astronaut Williams, on behalf of everyone in the room and everyone coming in from Zoom, we'd like to thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. This has been a really awesome experience. Okay.
I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys as well. You guys had some pretty awesome questions, and you know, it's nice to connect with people back on Earth and to get to share a little bit of this experience. It's a really special experience, and I'm really grateful to be able to share it with you guys.
Thank you very much. Those wearing CSI shirts, would you like to come up for a picture, please? Oh, okay. And at this point, we will be taking a photo. Thank you again.
Station to Houston ACR, that concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
Station copies all. Thank you very much.